Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And today, we've got a conversation for you.
Yeah, today's a fun one, folks. We're going to be digging into cars that, people thought were kind of ugly, funky, but we think they are fantastic.
Exactly. So this is something that, the casual observer might look at and be like, ooh, that's ugly. That's an Aztec. And which I would agree with him on that. But these are other cars that we think were actually really kind of cool and unique or quirky. And so we wanted to call them out and give them the love that they deserve.
That's right. So we each have 3 picks, and we'll see where we go from there.
All right. So you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Sure. So I'm going to start off with a brand that I love and miss, actually. It's no longer in production. And it comes to us from the same land as Volvo, but they took it on a slightly different spin. I'm talking about Saab. Saab's roots are just inherently quirky.
Judas.
Why?
I also chose a Saab.
Jeez.
Did you choose the Saab 900?
Yes.
Judas!
The 900 was so quirky.
Oh, it was so quirky. I love the 900. It was such an interesting car.
Yes.
Came in coupe, convertible, and sedan.
Yeah.
Had a buddy growing up owned a sedan. Such a quirky, fun little vehicle. Looked like nothing else on the road. When you saw a Saab, you knew exactly what it was.
Yes, they have very similar profiles, and a lot of the thinking that went behind them is because they're engineered by former airplane engineers, and a lot of the interior design went from that, right? So we had a night panel that turned off everything except the necessary instrumentation because it might be too distracting.
Yes.
But who thinks about that? Saab does.
The ignition was right here between you on the console. Just so many interesting and unique features on every Saab, and the engine was mounted backwards.
Yes.
What does that mean? You say, what does that mean? What does an engine mounted backwards mean? And so these cars had 4-cylinder engines. They were mounted longitudinally, not transverse, longitudinally, but the clutch was at the front of the car. Why?
It's that packaging, baby.
Why? Yes, it's for that packaging reason. They wanted to make more space available in the cabin, so the transmission kind of sat underneath the engine, and so they were kind of like stacked up like a little sandwich.
A little sandwich. And, these are one of the first turbocharged cars on the market, and look how pervasive turbos have been now. Right? They're everywhere you look.
Because Saab knew at the time, there's like, hey, we can add a little bit of boost to this. We're going to still get great miles per gallon, and we're going to add a little bit of performance too. So we're going to make it a little bit spicy, but we're going to keep it Swedish.
Yeah, and that did come in the form of turbo lag, which some people love and some people hate, right? And at the time, a lot of the enthusiasts that drove them kind of referred to it like jokingly as, it's like taking off in a plane, right? Like, let's get that afterburner kicking in.
Exactly, because the lag was just so enormous back then, because we didn't have a smaller turbo to spool us up at the time. We didn't understand, how a hot V might help us up if we had a V-shaped engine or, things of that nature. There was a lot of different things that we know now that, eliminate turbo lag or reduce it to where it's barely noticeable. And, Saab didn't have any of that knowledge at the time, so they were kind of one of the pioneers of that space. But, having a Saab turbo was just a really unique and fun car.
It definitely stood out, and that is a car that you could take off all the badges and you know exactly what brand it belongs to,
Yes.
which I think is one of the true signs of a long-lasting, awesome design. Even though it might not be attractive to everybody, it's unique and it stands out.
Absolutely. And, I lament the fact that Saab is no longer with us, just because they were just like a breath of fresh air within, the automotive landscape. I really wish that, someone would be able to be willing to bring them back, and resurrect that brand, because especially within the EV space, you think that you could transcend that Saab DNA into an EV and make it fun, interesting, unique, and quirky.
For sure. And bring that night panel back.
Yeah, night panel. Boop. Off.
Yes.
Good choice.
Yeah, love it.
Yes, love it too. All right, so since you stole my first choice, I'm going to go with my next choice, and that is also from a brand that begins with the letter S.
Ooh, okay.
And this is
Saturn.
No.
Oh.
It is a quirky brand, but it's not from America. It's from the land of the rising sun, from Japan. We are talking, of course, about Subaru. And back in the early 2000s, they finally graced us in the United States with one of the best cars they had been keeping pretty much to themselves in Japan and Europe for the longest time. And I, of course, am talking about the Subaru WRX.
Oh, nice. I thought you were going to say the XV6.
No, XC's. I mean, that would have been a good choice too.
That's pretty quirky.
But I really love the WRX. It's something that I really aspired to own for like the longest time, just because it was such a fun rally-inspired vehicle. It was essentially the homologation to be able to let them enjoy continuing within the World Rally Championship. And we finally got it in 2002. And this one was lovingly known as the Bug Eye. And so this started a series of WRXs that basically ran for 2 years each, all the way through about 2007. So 2002, 2003 was the Bug Eye. 03, 04 was known as the Blob Eye. Then 2005, 2007 was known as the Hawkeye.
Yeah, I like that one.
And these were all like funky, quirky, interesting looking cars. My favorite was the Blob Eye. I really wanted one of those so bad. And that was the first one that brought us the STI.
Yes.
300 horsepower, 6-speed. Fantastic car.
It's a highly sought after car, and that is it's a car with a strong personality, and it broke out just a whole bunch of like other cars that wanted to be rally inspired, and it just started a wave of that. And man, that is a fantastic pick, because we don't have really a fun WRX right now. It's there.
I know.
It's hard to see that.
No.
Because Subaru could really do a killer thing with that. It's such a unique car.
Yeah.
Small, compact sedan with all-wheel drive, a manual. I mean, that turbo heritage is just so unique, too.
Yeah. We want to see the big wing. Bring the big wing back. It needs to be silly. It needs to be fun.
Yes, we love a rally-inspired car.
Bring it back. Oh, it used to be just so absolutely wonderful, and it's not what it used to be. That is such a shame. But I love looking back on those Subarus. Every time you see one, you smile, just because you see that vape pen hanging out, you see that flat brimmed hat, and you're like, that car is still doing exactly what it should be doing.
That's right. My pick, my next one, is kind of funny in a sense, because its nickname is the Clown Shoe.
Ah, the Clown Shoe.
Yes, I am talking about the BMW Z3 Coupe, or M Coupe, depending on the variation that you went with. This thing is funky as all get out. Now, to a lot of people, it might be ugly. Maybe the design of it looks a little heavy, like a shoe, like more towards one side than the other.
A lot more towards one side.
But this car is engineered not because BMW wanted to. It's because a bunch of engineers within BMW just got together and they're like, hey, we want to do something where we can strengthen the Z3 chassis, really just push it to the max. And the solution that they found was put a roof on it.
Amazing how that works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you start to connect all these pieces, and they're more, structurally sound.
Yeah. Now, most would say, okay, well, you're going to turn a convertible into a coupe, right? It's nice sloping and flat. No, we're going to make it a hatchback.
That's right.
Guys, this is like my dream car. Okay, I love hatchbacks.
A convertible that becomes a hatchback.
I love hatchbacks. I love small, nimble cars with a straight six and a manual transmission. I mean, you cannot get quirkier for someone who's a car enthusiast.
Yeah.
These are funky looking, but they're quick and they're so fun to drive. And this car is actually better to drive than its convertible counterpart, which started that whole small convertible craze in that German segment. This is such a cool car, and it's actually sought after now, even though to a lot of people it's kind of ugly.
Yeah, big time. And just those flared fenders off the back. I mean, it just finishes the look. The Roadster also pulls off those flared fenders
for sure.
really well. And just being behind one of these cars versus like the more pedestrian Z3, you're like, whoa.
So cool.
Baby's got back.
Yes, I love that car.
Yeah.
They're so small.
But they're so small and fun. And really the ones to buy are the ones that came with the S54, because then you got the 333 horsepower straight out of the M3 versus that older S52 with like 240. Can you imagine that in that little package? So much fun.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the Z4 M Coupe a little bit later, which looked great, but it looked great to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like it was definitely more of a cohesive design. It was something they clearly thought of in the design process for the Z4 from the get-go. It wasn't like after the fact, what can we do here? Dook, dook, done.
I love it. You would never see that on a BMW now.
Never.
You just see two big buck teeth.
Yeah, exactly. They're just going like, how can we make this grill bigger? Done. It's good. Good choice. Good choice. All right. So for my last choice, I'm going to go with a brand that is near and dear to our heart. And, we haven't mentioned on this podcast in like at least the last 2 or 3 pods. So we won't be getting our regular check from them.
Okay.
So we need to start getting that back in. So I'm going to start talking about Porsche.
Yes.
And so this is one of the most lamented Porsches ever made. This is when Porsche was really starting to go through a lot of financial struggles. You know, they had basically been making a lot of their products, you know, essentially by hand, and really needed to say, hey, you know, we need to start thinking of ourselves as more of a mass market manufacturer. We need to start thinking about how we can streamline our processes. And we need to step away from air-cooled engines because we need to start worrying a little bit about power, performance, and fuel economy. And so I'm clearly talking about the 996 911. And so to save money, Porsche shared a lot of parts with the Boxster that they introduced right around that time period as well, because they could essentially use the same nose, front end clip from the 911 onto the Boxster. And hey, guess what? Big cost savings for Porsche. Not great for 911 and Boxster owners, because then they see a lot more of their cars coming and going and they're not unique, right? And so that takes it a step back. And there was a big pushback from the public when they saw the headlight treatments on these vehicles.
They're not ovals.
Yes, they're not ovals anymore. Porsche tried to make them different and they kind of failed. It wasn't a great look. It didn't really work with the FSO. You know, originally we had, you know, the fried egg, and then we had the runny egg, and even the, you know, the revision didn't work much better. It kind of looked shocked, you know, at that point, like, you know, coming at you. So they finally learned their lesson with the 997 and the 987 and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and give you proper Porsche headlights on these again. So they fixed it very, very nicely. And the other issue that a lot of people had with these 996s was that within the 993 that predated it, the interior was high quality. It felt bespoke. It felt interesting and unique. And when they went mass market on the 996, they kind of lost some of that quality. Like they lost that design, right? And so it just echoed cheapness. It said, hey, we're starting to worry about our nickels and dimes at this point. We're not worried about bringing you the best car. Problem is the cars are still fantastic. They're still fantastic to drive. Up until probably about 2 to 3 years ago, they actually presented a tremendous value. Problem is a lot of people started realizing this as well, and so 996 prices have really started creeping up. You used to be able to get a really nice 996 like C4S or a nice 996 turbo for not a lot of money, right? Like you would see a turbo probably like in the like upper 40s, low 50s. The C4S probably like you could buy one in the upper 20s. People have since learned, right? I mean, these prices have jumped up. A turbo is now 60 plus. A nice C4S is probably in the 40s. Still, again, I think that's still a tremendous value, frankly, to be perfectly honest, because you're not touching the 997 in either of those variants for anywhere close to that same money, which is the same platform, just obviously greatly refreshed. So a lot of words to say that, you know, the 996 is definitely one that I think fits this discussion.
Absolutely, totally. I mean, that is a car that to a lot of Porsche folks that was just lambasted. But I think you're right. I mean, the engineering behind it is so fantastic, so good that they decided to carry it over right to the next generation and just kind of make some tweaks, mostly visual, right? So, that is a car that is really important to Porsche history, even though a lot of Porsche fans kind of crap on it.
Right, it is. Yeah. You know? And, you know, unlike, you know, the Mark 8.5 GTI, which you lamented in a previous podcast, they got it all right with the 997, right? Like every box they checked, they fixed. And, you know, granted that...
Except the engine reliability.
Only if you get the 3.2. Poor Jordan. Anyways.
Still waiting on it.
Still waiting on it. Still not.
I probably will still not have my car by the time this comes out. Anyway.
Oh, so sorry. Anyways. But yeah, so I mean, you know, but they did fix a lot of the ills that the buying public had with it, right? They fixed the visual component first. They gave it the oval headlights. They refined the back end, made it nice and cohesive. They gave it a wide body for the wide body versions. And the interior just completely top to bottom fixed. You know, high quality interior in the 997, 987. Looks fantastic. Even to this day, it's something that, you know, Porsche does well, is things that stand the test of time. It's part of the reason their design has been an evolution, not, you know, something that is completely new with every iteration. And, you know, it really is the next step from the 993, right? I mean, it's the car they should have built, but that doesn't mean that the 996 in itself is also a really worthy vehicle too.
I mean, anytime you're going to go from an air-cooled engine to a water-cooled, right, people are going to come after you.
Yes.
Because you're just changing everything Porsche is about, right? So it's going to be lambasted no matter what when it came out. But yeah, you know, it had a lot of weight to carry, but it did. And now we have Porsche still. A lot of credit to that particular car, because otherwise they'd be in a much rougher position.
Yes, for sure.
Great pick. We needed some Porsche plugs.
Yep. You can send that check to TDL North, please.
Okay. All right, so now that we've gotten Porsche out of the way, I'm going to, you talked about the 986. I'm going to incorporate the 6 number here again, but this is a car that is so opposite of what we are talking about with a Porsche.
Mazda
Literally
6?
the opposite completely.
Mazda 6?
No, not a Mazda 6. I'm talking about the Citroen C6.
Ooh.
Yes.
We're going Frenchy.
We are going French. I wish we had more French cars here because they're so funky. So this particular car, the C6, what's really unique about it, it took 6 years to go from concept to development, and there was just so many stumbles along the way.
That sounds delightfully French. They probably were like,
Yeah.
oh, let's work on it. And then like, oh, no, revolution. And then, okay, and then, oh, let's work on it. No, strike. No, let's work on it. No, oh, transit strike. We can't go to work.
Yes, unfortunately. But the result of it was a truly unique and fantastic car. Citroen in general is known for their fantastic ride quality, but the C6 really took it up to a next level. This is a car that was so well designed that even French, high folks in French government were using it in armored vehicles.
Wow.
So I mean, like, could you imagine? What's the equivalent of a Citroen here? Like a Ford, right? Driving around. That's saying something. So the hydraulic suspension in this absorbs and constantly adjusts to bumps all the time. So it just has a super smooth ride. And what I really love about it is that curved inner glass. And the whole reason that they designed that. Not to be funky. I mean, part of it is
Yes, it's definitely to be
weird,
French, but okay.
It's for aerodynamics, and not because they want to go fast, because we don't want to interrupt the smoothness and quietness inside the car, right? This is like the anti-BMW.
It is. It really
of
is.
the time.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was engineered to purposefully isolate you from the road, which I traditionally don't like. But everything has a purpose, and this is so just true to its form. It does not care what other people think about it.
There's absolutely a time and place for that too, right?
Sure.
And so, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, now we're living in this EV landscape where everything is whisper quiet, and that's something they were kind of looking for, way back when, which is really cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, not many of them were sold. That's kind of the sad thing about it, considering how long it took to get developed.
Well, it's because they're like, oh, next year we're releasing the C6, and then, next year it comes, and they're like, oh, next year we're listening to C6, and then next year comes, oh, next year. Rinse and repeat 3 more times, and then it's finally out. By then, nobody cares.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a car.
Kind of like the Cybertruck.
Okay, well, let's not go there. That's not fair at all. So the C6 is way better looking than a Cybertruck.
Okay, fine, like the Tesla Roadster revision.
There we go.
Still not out.
Still not out. Yeah, but I just love that car for what it is and what it kind of represents about the French automotive community in general, right? They do their own thing. They do not care what other auto manufacturers are doing. And I wish, with modern day French cars, it's not as much with that because we're seeing a lot of globalization in terms of their platforms. But this was a time when could you imagine taking 6 years to develop a car? It's insane to me. That is a car that if you took the badges off it again, you would know exactly what it was and where it came from. So that is a truly unique and fantastic car, in my opinion.
For sure, for sure. No, that's a good call. French, they just made some delightfully quirky and weird cars over the years, and they just seem so characteristically French, right? And to your point, when you take the badges off, 100% that is a French vehicle. So, well. Let us know some of the ugly cars that you love. Cars that people might think just aren't, traditionally good looking, but you love it for a quirky reason or a fun design reason, or frankly, any other reason.
Yeah, maybe own one. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, hit it in the comments.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss a thing.